Is the Handicappers Report, brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I am Anthony Mormino on a glorious summer morning. I said, Seth, I came out and it was so bright and warm. It felt like it was almost like 11 o'clock in the morning. It is beautiful out there. So I think it's supposed to be a great day. Beautiful weather. Saratoga knocking on the door. I mean, it's a great time of year, especially I always thought, Seth, as a young person, now as an older adult, it's like our present for getting through winter. Now, that being said, the last couple of years, and I'm a guy who lives in suburbia and I have a snowblower, like I've only used a snowblower once in the last 2 winters, so I can't say it has been...
Knock wood when you say that.
Right.
Upcoming winter.
But it does seem, and even somebody, memory like mine, it doesn't seem to be... If you took any 10 years of my adult winters, I don't think any of them are like the age of 7 to 17. And I don't think that's like revisionist history.
I remember the
it was always snow.
And
you waited till like late March, and I mean late March, for it to start melting. You never envisioned that February you could see your grass. That was over. But it's beautiful out there today, ladies and gentlemen. And Mother Goose Steaks Day. And
popped over to Keenholz Park in Guilderland and Altamont last
Anthony
night.
played Little League Baseball there for years.
I went to see the Albany Dutchman. It was a horse racing night. They gave away a VIP package, and sponsored in part by the TRF and McMahon Thoroughbreds. But America's Pastime Stable, the guys behind that, Brian, Jason. I saw Jason Brinkman last night, and I had those guys on the show with me last summer. But they have the baseball on their silks. Well, they're intimately involved. Jason's the general manager of the Albany Dutchman. It's part of that college league.
Oh, yeah.
So they were playing the Glens Falls
Know
Dragons,
a couple of young guys who played college baseball who, when they would come home to the Capital District in the summer, played that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a nice night last night, and if you had a chance to go over, I recommend it, because the weather finally turned yesterday, and I was wearing shorts, and it was a great night. Nice little crowd there. As I say, they gave away a nice VIP package. The TRF had a couple of little mini horses there, and the kids loved that. And it was a fun game.
Get them early.
So,
Get them early.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I spent many days at the park. You see that? I mean, it's got to be at least 12, maybe 15 baseball fields.
Well, I know it took me a long time to figure out the parking lot I was in.
Yes.
I was all over.
Do I go right? Do I go left? Do I go straight? Yeah, that's a little confusing, but that is quite a... Look at it on Google Earth sometime. I mean, it is a big contraption for the town of Guilderland. But
and every ballpark, every ball field I drove by had a game going. There's a ton of little ones going out.
Oh, yeah, there's...
in the back. Which,
it's a conveyor belt of teams, etc. So, interesting that regard. It's kind of that what used to be a much longer lull season, not for the sport itself, but for us here particularly, post Triple Crown and then Saratoga, which used to be, I think you could measure it mathematically, like 1 week shy of 2 full months. And now it's like a blink. It's like, oh my goodness, they just ran the Belmont Stakes. Now, it was the latest date they could run it, and they're going to run Saratoga, so it's 1 month and 3 days difference. And what do we add? Like, I think today's like 19 days.
Yeah.
Thursday 2 days ago was 3 weeks to Saratoga opening. I know you're going to get a chance to, go to Maine. Our family's going to go to England tomorrow.
I'm having fried clams. You're having fish and chips.
That's right. Good. I didn't think of that, but yeah. So we're going to try and see how much we can push the envelope with young Anthony on British food. I don't think it's going to... We're going to do mostly lunch style, embrace British cuisine, because I don't think that's going to be a hit. Evening, we've gone to a very Americanized idea where we think Anthony we can find something on a menu that, like, if nothing else, get a steak, fine. But lunch, I think we're going to delve into their food, which I'm a little leery of, but we're looking forward to that. But
fish and chips, little shepherd's pie.
Those two are home runs for me. They're not risks for me. I've had them. They're classics that I can move on from that. But I've read some menus on other things. It is going to be tiptoeing into the water for yours truly. But, and in this day and age, and Seth and I are about the same age, and years ago when I was 24, we'd go to Cape Cod, July 4th weekend, all these things. My point now is I can follow NYRA racing and thoroughbred racing as easily from across the pond as I can from the Capital District. Watch replay. It is so great to be a fan of the sport now. I used to hope that
people who are fans now don't realize how different it is.
I used to pray that my local convenience store that used to hold the form for me every day would have all the editions saved when I came back to pick them up in bulk. And I would hope that all my presets, now some of you might remember years and years and years ago at 6 p.m. Capital used to show the NYRA replays. And I would hope that they would be there nowadays.
Yeah, there was the Harvey Pack replay show.
Oh, that show would come on at 6:30 generally.
PIX?
No, Sports Channel first. The first was 1986.
It was on Channel 9 for a while, though. WOR.
WOR. That the Saturday shows.
And that was a change, too, when cable came into the air. And you could pick up the 2 New York channels, and WOR had the replay show.
People don't know. And what's
Frank
funny.
Wright and Charles C. Canny.
Yeah. And the Mother Goose used to be, because in the old days, I didn't really follow racing in the winter, but I'd pick it up in the springtime. So when Belmont came up, and the Triple Crown for fillies was a big deal, and the Mother Goose, I've said this before, there was a time when I think people of our age, the Mother Goose was the premier race of the 3, and now it's not. Somebody wrote on Twitter, how they're running the Mother Goose now versus the Acorn the other day. Each race got 5. And I think that's an okay observation. My one thought is they've become different races. The Acorn has become a different race than the Kentucky Oaks or the Alabama or the Coaching Club.
Well, in our day, the test would lead into the Alabama.
Directly, 9 days later.
That's not.
But there's the Acorn is meant for different horses. It's one turn a mile at 16. I don't know if Echo Zulu, if she, obviously Matarea, so apparently not. So they're different races nowadays, but it's so easy to follow the game now. I just laugh. And my first experience with that was Anthony was about 3, so that'd be 13 years ago. I went to Maine for the first time in my life, and I remember it was the summer of Union Rags. I think he won the middle colt race as a 2-year-old, and I'm like, just like being in Albany. Yeah, my wife said, "You're gonna miss it, everything." Miss it. I said, "I'll be watching at 10:30 at night when you two are asleep." So
for a while there was little jaggedy postage-size stamp videos.
Oh yeah.
Now
98. I had that. I lived that. The stationary, the jump. Oh, I lived that.
But you go back to really the early. I mean, I was just thinking about this the other day. In New York State, now you can bet any race you want, anywhere you want, anytime you want. There was a time when we had as OTB, I don't remember what the number was
10.
exactly, but was it
10?
10? I was going to say 10 or 12.
Out-of-state racing and wagering advice. And you knew right away, and this is, even before the Triple Crown, so that's 2 of them. They get the
point being, we could only pick up 10 a year from out of state.
Really judicious with those.
And then eventually they went to, they had California racing pretty regularly, but we had different odds. And that was always fun because you'd look at the OTB odds and you look at the California odds, and it wouldn't always happen, wouldn't even often happen. But sometimes you'd look and you see the California horse is sitting at 6-5, and on our odds he's at 8-1, and okay, let me jump in here. This is interesting.
I'll give you one that's from a financial gambling. That's the best one, but I'll give you one that I think blows people's mind. For the 3rd and I think 4th Breeders' Cup, so this is autumn of 86, 87, and I went to both of them out there, California, San Diego, Hollywood Park. In New York, they could only bet the Turf and the Classic. And no trifecta wagering. Win, place, show, and exacta wagering. This is the modern era, but that's how the game has changed. So be across the pond and watching NYRA just as closely. Go down to the business center in the hotel and print out the PPs and march forward as if I was in my living room in the Capital District. And that's just, it's awesome nowadays to be able to watch the races from anywhere you can get a connection. Because
if you're new to the game,
you have no idea what it was like to be a horse racing fan in the
because
late
you talk about
70s,
going to
80s.
London, but just back in the day, if you were a racing fan in Montana, where did you get a racing forum? Where did you watch races? Where did you bet races? You couldn't. You could have grown up in Saratoga. You moved to Montana. You were out of luck. You weren't.
Yeah,
you were
no
longer
internet.
gonna be a racing fan.
Yeah, no, that's a. And I'm going to say something. Some of these things change, but much of this lasted till the early '90s. We don't want to make this like a 1970s frozen in time. This lasted until the early '90s of such constriction on being a fan of the sport, which we do not suffer with now. The betting menus are outstanding. The opportunity is even better, and there's very little restrictions now. But into the early '90s.
I mean, speaking of that, remember the replay? If you wanted to see a replay, you would walk up to the little booth at Saratoga
Absolutely.
and request.
Absolutely. They had this booth, and there'd usually be a young person, and had all VHS tapes. You had a little tape, and you'd fill out the thing, and you'd give them some time to get it. And there was like 5 monitors, and they would tell you which monitor your videotape would be on. You people don't know the pain. The struggle was real.
All right, you ready to get it? Oh,
I am.
I should mention last night at the ball game, Ramon Dominguez threw out the first pitch and did a good job.
I told you we have a personal relationship, right? Have I told the story in the air?
I don't know.
So last autumn, we're at Anthony's cross country meet, and I see Ramon Dominguez, who's clearly Ramon Dominguez. It's not one of those things where he needs to be in jockey silks to know. So I turned to my wife and I said, so I'm waiting, now this is one of the lucky things. Unlike the racetrack where he'd be inundated, nobody knows who he is. So he's having his personal time. So I said, listen, there's a rule here, only one Hall of Famer at a time. And he started laughing. And we talked. Ramon Dominguez he lives here.
Yeah.
And his children are well above average cross-country runners. He is for his age, become a above average long distance runner. He's taken it on competitively the same way he was a jockey, which he can no longer do, very seriously. Well, many people probably know through the years, my wife is a very accomplished long distance runner. They end up talking for like 30 minutes. They almost miss each other's children's races. So then I'm at the Breeders' Cup, and he's out there at Del Mar, and now he is busy. And everybody, knows who he is. Because I just wanted to say hello and ask how his children were doing, because that's the end of. I said, Ramon. He looked over and said hi. I said, cross country. And he made the connection. He came over. I said, I know you're busy. I said, how's your children healthy, finishing up the season well? Then he remembered my wife's race scheduled, and I love him. But he is a serious
along
runner.
the same line. I play some old man basketball a couple times a week, and that's where I work up the sweat. But on other days, I try to now go over to the Saratoga Park and just walk, because I don't like running at all. But at least
94 feet in.
At least I get in a little walk many days. And so I don't know. It was maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Speaking of that, I'm walking, and some guy goes by me, and I'm like, man, he is running fast. And he gets up to the end where the booth is and kind of stops for a second and comes back. And he's still at kind of a dead run. I'm like, oh, man, I'm envious of this guy. And as he walks by, sure enough, it's Ramon. He goes, hey, how you doing?
He's into it. He was talking with my wife. They weren't like chit-chatting. They were like, I got this program. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah, like I say.
Ramon Dominguez.
He was at a dead run. God bless.
Wonderful person, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
He is as good as they get.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in and do a little race talk here, actually, for a Saturday afternoon. I'll look at Monmouth a little bit later on, but we'll kick things off. Belmont Park in the opener today, State Bred Maiden Specials going 5 furlongs. I think this is kind of a fun race.
And you want to talk about things changing, Seth? How about in our lifetime, going back 40 plus years, where the New York bred program used to be compared to where it is now? I just want to run through some of the stallions here Practical Joke, First Samurai, Bellamy Road, Dialed In, Bolt d'Oro, Mendelssohn, Golden Sense, Majestic City. That would not have been the case when we were young. They were New York Stallions, and they weren't top flight, but 40 years is 2 generations. It's changed a lot. Dialed In for the Gambling Girl. Probably going to attract a lot of attention here, but I'm 6'5'4" in here, ladies and gentlemen. And Amanda's Folly for Rudy Rodriguez, the offspring of Mendelssohn, gets my top pick in here. The bottom side is, boy, I don't see Notebook in the Stallion register too often, but if you go back a long time ago, Notebook was a Wayne Lucas runner who I didn't think had a lot of New York breds at the time, was a pretty good sprinter, and I think he won one of those New York Stallion series when there weren't too many of them, B, they were very lucrative, and C, no one will remember this, they had their own unique saddle cloths. In the days of just the white on black, they had yellow on like a medium blue for the Stallion series. Notebook, boy, a Gene Klein horse, as a matter of fact, the old Chargers silks. So I'm going to take a flyer. I think Amanda's Folly will be points higher than 5-1 when we get to the 4 and 5 for me. Now, the 5 is recognized, and if you haven't been following nationally, Bolt d'Oro is off to a very, very hot start as a young stallion. I'm sure you've had a chance
had another nice winner this past week.
You know, so he's if you don't remember, the old Norfolk State out of San Diego, the Forerunner Stakes, he ran a huge figure. I think he got like a 105. He was the chalk in the Breeders' Cup. Didn't go so well. That's the Storm the Court, I think, year, who was like 0 for 14 since then.
Which you could see coming.
Oh, yeah, that was I think a 9-horse field, not very good. But scrap all that. Bolt d'Oro is off to a white-hot start as a stallion. In this day and age, that's a well-known thing. Recognized is going to get bet for Belmont. And number 4, Gambling Girl. And just as people were getting familiar with my work, I would like Gambling Girl at 5-2 for Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli first out. I don't think we're going to see that price at all, Seth. So it's 6-5-4 for me in the opener.
I will say I was kind of the same on Gambling Girl, but I moved that one down the 3rd for me because I looked up the damn siblings, and the siblings do not really win early. Yeah. So it's but it's Pletcher and Rapoli. You can't keep it up. They may overcome that stat.
And they paid $200,000.
Yeah.
Which is like, trust me, they
right
have the same information about the family lineage as us. So I'm guessing, and I've never talked to Todd Pletcher. Maybe you have, Seth, but Todd Pletcher's from Wayne Lucas, and Wayne Lucas's thing was he didn't really care what the book said. He cared what the athlete looked like, and I always wonder if Todd Pletcher is in that same vein. So they saw something and they didn't care about what the book said.
Yeah, again, with those connections, you have to think win early, but will it be the first one, or we'll see. Second race at Belmont today, state bred allowance non-winners of 1 other than a 1.125 on the grass.
2-3-7 for me, and I wasn't back in this chair, but the opening race of this meet, I liked Michael Dickinson with the first-time starter, was almost 8-1. If you saw that race, I don't think it's hard to conceptualize. He basically was 3 lengths off the lead at the 8th pole and 2 in front. My point is, he just hit the afterburners, figured it out, and she was gone. I mean, and then I thought the race taking on winners. Now, here's an example. Nearly 8-1 in the debut, taking on winners at, I think, 9-5. Yes, you lose, but I wouldn't like Rio in that spot. But the offspring of Nyquist, I like here. 3rd career start, had the muscle regression after what I thought was visually very impressive debut. Now, in the hands of the mad scientist they used to call Michael Dickinson, a 4-year-old making the debut, she was razor sharp. I think she's razor sharp today. Trevor McCarthy's been aboard all the starts. For a second, number 3, Christophe Clement sends out the offspring of Tonalist for the 2nd start of the year. 1 on debut. That was just before Thanksgiving at 11-1. Came back in May at 2-1. And I know Christophe Clement was one of the first ones, along with Bobby Frankel, to have outstanding stats off layoffs of greater than 180 days, but that's still a tough hill to climb. And at a short price, I don't like it. But I like now they have that foundation, and you get probably about the same price today. And for third, number 7, Preposterous, who I actually thought of putting on top at a big price. Second start of the year, second time taking on winners, draws the outside. I just thought my top 2 picks are very tough in here, but the 7 at double-digit odds is in my mix. 2, 3, 7.
I will admit I couldn't remember the name, but when you brought up the mad scientist and Michael Dickinson, I thought, who was that horse? So I looked it up while you're doing that. Who he won. He won a Breeders' Cup with of nearly a year on the sidelines.
No, look it up. Do the math. 2 years. 96 and 98. He had one race, some Cape race.
He had
one race in between. And this is perhaps my favorite quote of all time coming out of the prep race.
The Colonial Downs prep. Yeah.
He says, I don't have it exact, but the thought is exact. He says after that prep race, he'll improve by 12 and a half lengths. First off, who says like the number and he picks at a half and then he won the 98?
I mean, you look at the 96 up at Woodbine, he wins the Breeders' Cup
Gary
Mile,
Stevens
in 96. Then he comes back to the Colonial Downs prep race in 98, 2 years later, and then wins the Breeders' Cup Mile. So
John Velasquez.
In 3 races, he has 2 Breeders' Cup Miles.
You remember what Durkin's line was?
Yeah.
It's my favorite one he ever did in the Breeders' Cup. The greatest comeback since Lucifer. Durkin was the best. He was tremendous. Johnny V rode him. I think it was Labib or Hawksley Hill. He pushed to the line that was my first time ever doing the Breeders' Cup for Capital. And 96 was up at Woodbine with Gary Stevens. But yeah, he'll improve by 12 and a half lengths.
I had to look that up because I think that played into the whole mad scientist
now you want
moniker.
You want to have your mind blown? Circle down to like his first 3 starts. Where were the starts?
Oh, Turf Paradise.
I think for a long time he had the fastest 6 furlong dirt race in the history. One of those races he went sub 108, and it was the fastest 2-year-old 6 furlong race. It might still be standing.
Well, I was going to say,
imagine
I'd be surprised.
A dirt race for DeHaas.
Belmont's third race, stakes action in the Wild Applause, $100,000 up for grabs for the 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the grass.
Now, I know I'm bigger on, do you remember her, Wild Applause?
Yeah, okay. I don't remember specifically, but I remember.
Like, she was 84, 3-year-old filly, Mac Miller, Mr. Mellon, good filly. It was a very deep 3-year-old filly crop that year, so she... that was like Life's Magic, Miss Oceana. She was like a cut just below them. Like I said, ran in the test. But 1-5-2 for me. Oakhurst gets my top pick. And, we've discussed this. I mean, Chad Brown has 60% of the runners. He might have 80% of the win. I mean, it's, Breeze Easy. It's just a tough thing to do. And I thought I'd take Oakhurst, making the second start since breaking the maiden. That was at Gulfstream Park on the Tapeta, but then won easily at Keeneland in their entry-level allowance. And walking around, we kind of really think the Keeneland allowance races are tougher than many places in America. Now try Stakes Company for the first time. But you know what? The waters are deep. Not only a stablemate, but how about Breeze Easy for Christophe Clement? For second, for me, though, is number 5, Eminent Victor. Chad Brown's running to make the first start since September. But for me, that's irrelevant when talking about Chad Brown. They take blinkers off. Finished third, first time Chad Brown behind the future Breeders' Cup Philly Turf Race. And for third, number 2, Bill Mott's runner, takes on winners for the first time. My reason for being against Breeze Easy is long-standing. Second time North America took, I'm guessing, would be hard to get. I would like to know how long this horse was in the United States. Because my general rule of thumb is they run big the first time and then a little regression, and that's what I'm betting. Why I'm betting against Breeze Easy. But the Wild Applause, I know is only 5. I know Chad has 3, but a very good race.
Absolutely. 4th today, State Bred Maiden Claimers. They will go 3/4 of a mile.
4, 5, 7 for me, ladies and gentlemen, and Jet Set Juliet will get my top pick for Rudy Rodriguez. 3rd start, nice debut, not so nice the second one. Now remember with New York breds, there's 2 levels, maiden claimers, the 40s and the 25s, and I think day in and day out that's a very noticeable difference. Well, this runner tried the 40s in both career starts, now takes the drop down to 25. Jose Gomez gets them out. That's my top pick, 2nd start of the year. For 2nd, right next door in the starting gate, this is Darn That Song, who first 7 career starts was maiden special weights. Then the most recent was the first drop down. Bruce Brown, thinking wisely, tried the 40, now tries the 25. And for 3rd on the outside, number 7, Lady Yellen. Linda Rice sends out this runner off of back-to-back efforts in the slot for this offspring of Central Banker. 4, 5, 7. One quick thing I want to say, and I think I said this about 3 weeks ago. Spice Down passed away, and he was a stallion that did more good work than I ever thought he would do, more versatile than I ever thought. But he is also showing himself to be a sire of sires, and Central Banker is one of them, and the other one is Spicester.
Yeah.
So, boy, I'll tell you, when you
Spicester is definitely picking up the mantle.
Yes, the last 6 months. I mean, for you to become a big-time stallion, that's an accomplishment. But then to be a sire of sires, there's a very short list of stallions who do that.
Into Mischief, as the son
He's
called Can the Man, I think.
Golden Sense is
Sense.
his best one. Yeah. I've said this many times. Golden Sense won back-to-back Breeders' Cup Dirt Miles. I know people poo-poo that race, but he's a better stallion than a horse who won back-to-back Breeders' Cup races, and he's the son of Insubmission.
5th race today, another state-bred allowance non-winners of one other than 7 furlongs to trip.
Did you take a look at this race? I don't want to... Knowing you would put the 1 on top, right? I mean, you're supposed to, right? And man, was it that eye-popping that the Buyer 75? 3 to 5 on the morning line.
Yeah,
I was like 6 to 5, maybe even money, but 3 to 5 is like a Chad Brown.
I will say this.
What?
Bettors these days love favorites. I sit in here in the afternoon
You're
all the
singing
time
to the choir
and look at and I will have had a horse on top at 5 to 2, and I'll look up as I'm talking in the afternoon, and it'll be 3 to 5, and I'll have to say, this is not. And then the next horse, the next closest horse is 7 to 10, and it's like these horses are not that far apart talent-wise, but bettors seem to jump all over favorites now.
I would have been against the one in. I just think my opinion of my role here is the race goes through David Dock's Fingal's cave, but to me is it that demonstrative? And me, I'm a guy who thinks there's going to be a little regression off of the solid debut. I mean, it's just not a direction that I'm happy to go. First time versus winners was 6 to 5 in debut for a David Donk runner, which tells me the word was out.
Yeah.
They're not betting a David Donk horse that short unless the word was out. So maybe she wins by 3 or 4 again. I don't know, but I agree that the race goes through the 1, but for me it's 5, 1, 6. How I play the game. Banker's daughter from Mike Michelli back in his bar. He sends out the runner. I know 0 for 7 lifetime at Belmont, but has hit the board 4 times. This is, I'm hoping to see that type of disparity. I want to see 9 to 2 on this runner. I want to see some separation because maybe I'm swimming uphill. Jose Ortiz gets them out on the 1, and you're always wondering, he had Luis Cardenas in the saddle the first time, and he put out words, and now he goes to Ortiz. And I understand, I would probably make the same call, but if you're Luis Cardenas, aren't you That would, I could use this horse. Jose Ortiz doesn't need him, but
Well.
beat it. And then Pancho's song for Peter Walder, first off the claim for 25,000. It's an intriguing race to me because either I'm, going to get the pie, just look stupid, which I'm comfortable with doing, or, you're like, listen, you're not supposed to pick these types of horses.
Well, and I will say, you said you're likely to pick the 1, and I am, because
you can't be 1 to 5.
We handicap not differently necessarily, but look at the information. You're looking at, here's who I'm going to bet, and I think Andy Serling does that a lot. I handicap, here's who I think is going to win the race.
Yes.
Not necessarily who I'm going to bet, because I'm virtually never going to bet a 3 to 5 shot, but I may use a 3 to 5. I will definitely use it. There's no question I would use this horse in horizontals. So
Right.
These days, I just don't know how everybody else is betting. So I'm trying to say, here's who I think is best. But when I'm in the afternoon,
By the way,
I make the point
yeah.
a lot of times that this horse is just too short of a price. Look for some alternatives.
that is
here.
definitely a steep big tie.
Oh,
I would
yeah,
bet.
No question about it.
I would bet half of Anthony's 529 without my wife's permission that is a steep big tie. And one thing you should point out, because coming back to the fact, I don't bet horizontals, so I will say things like the race goes through, or you need to use them. I don't ever need to use them. I am a vertical.
I think it's
trifecta.
all valid. So as long as
out.
people out there know how people are handicapped,
Yes.
I think it's all
Yes.
kind of valid. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll
Yes.
continue Belmont
Second half.
and move on to Monmouth. Stay tuned. I'm Seth Merrow, and as serious horse players, we know that information is critical when placing a bet. With live streaming of more than 30 tracks, race replays, free past performances, and daily picks from professional handicappers, no one gives you more up-to-the-minute information than Capital OTB. Combine that with the best player awards in New York State, and you have everything a serious horse player needs to be successful.
Win more with Capital OTB.
Winning starts here. Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. Here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Belmont. These two arch rivals hang ahead with Joe Hart very dominant. It's going to be a 3-horse finish to the turn. Here's the rider for the finish.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning, a nice June Saturday morning, although it's supposed to be sweltering, actually. You talk
Yes.
about how nice the morning was.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to get...
It's
And
also-
I had texted a friend of mine who works on the backstretch at Churchill the past couple of days, and she was saying, down there,
Well, the other-
obviously they've had the heat wave, had a couple of cancellations, they had the early starts. She was saying, man, it's been hot down here, and the feel-like temperature one day was, she said, 110. And I said, man, it's different than up here, because the last week up here, it's been chilly. But
Yes,
not
been
today.
below, no.
Turns
It's been-
today.
yeah.
All right, 6 race at Belmont, maiden specials going. Mile and 16th on the grass. I'm going to be interested to see where you go, because the top of my page, I have written wide open.
I agree with that. I mean, I love these races. I think I think it'd have these races all day for me. And one thing the audience should know is there is no chance I would ever pick a horse or bet a horse with because of the name. But I'm 6'4", one of my favorite sayings is "with bells on," because I'm a person who generally is early, and I'm excited to be where I'm going, including my visits to the dentist, which they find fascinating because nobody else gets that excited to get their teeth cleaned, but I do. So with bells on, it's 6'4", but American Pharaoh, it seems in the first fifth of his stallion career that the turf influence for a dirt Triple Crown winner seems to be rather strong. This is the third career start for With Bells On, Todd Pletcher's runner. Ran well in both starts, 6-1 on debut, better than 13-1 in the second start. Makes the third career start. One of my favorite angles at maiden special weights. 4-1 on the morning line. Jose Lascano gets the call today. So With Bells On, my top pick in the sixth, number 6. For a second, number 4, Chad Brown's runner makes the third career start. First one of the year. First one as a 3-year-old. Gets Lasix today. And I've started to see more discussion about the Lasix thing back, which it really hasn't been a discussion for 20 years after being a big discussion in the 80s. Libretto, number 3, is my third pick. This horse could better this rating. They take blinkers off. Was a huge price in debut. Came back with the blinkers on at 1/3 the price approximately. Ran less well. They're taking the blinkers off. We draw inside. Trevor McCarthy was aboard the good effort on debut, so look out for Libretto. But 6-4-3, and I agree with my partner, a wide open race. Quick note, the 9 is an MTO.
And in a wide open race, who do I have on top? Number 6 With Bells On.
There you go.
So we'll see how wide open it is after we combine there. The 7th race at Belmont today, $50,000 non-winners of 2 lifetimes, 7 furlongs on the turf.
4, 5, 8, my picks in here, and Brazilian Air goes out for Tom Morley. First off, the $30,000 claim. Horse has never been off the board in 4 starts on the Belmont Park turf courses. Is 0 for 4, obviously. Has run against tougher, has run against softer, and these are the recent efforts. I'm thinking this is about the right sort of fit. Just have to get to the finish line. This horse seems to tire near the end, but this is the 3rd start of the year, second one post-middle of April. So Tom Morley, who I didn't realize claimed as many horses as he does, but it's incredibly good, almost 25%. And he's claimed nearly 50 horses. That's pretty good. And for second, number 5, Vocalized going out for Bonnie Lucas. You remember that's the Wayne Potts barn. First off, the $40,000 claim from the Todd Pletcher barn takes on winners for the first time. And Seth, that's a classic example where, and I think the conversation would be have to be off the record, but I would love to get a group of trainers together and them to tell me how much their heart sinks when they put in a claim, in a maiden claiming, and the horse wins. If it really is a financial, like, Muhammad Ali right cross, that's where Vocalized and Bonnie Lucas finds themselves. You put the claim in for 40 and they win, you lose that condition in New York. And for third, number 10, Amadeus Music going out for Jimmy Ryerson. But 4, 5, 8. I have to think
I'll also tie in though how we started the show talking about being a couple of old fogies in the game and how it's different. That situation is a lot different now than it was 40 years ago, or whatever, because you have the N2L now.
You'd be doomed. You'd have to take on veterans, and you'd.
That was one of racing's greatest moves, I think, to put in those non-winners to 2, non-winners to 3.
Yes, restricted claiming races.
Give horses a little bit of a chance. Here it is, the Mother Goose Grade 2 event, $250,000 up for grabs, the 1-turn mile and a 16.
And this is not my youthful Mother Goose. This is not my adult lifetime. This is not my husband's Mother Goose. Only one graded stakes winner in the field, Seth. I find that you look at the list of winners. Heck, 2009, Rachel Alexander won by the length of the stretch. But number 5, the even money favorite, is the only graded stakes winner in one of the premier New York 3-year-old filly races. My, oh my. I wasn't fearful of the even money Brad Cox runner, and I don't think you're supposed to. So I'm 4, 2, 5, and Gerrymander, which has been in the news a lot lately. Chad Brown's runner makes his second start of the year. I like the comeback race in the 8 bells, if you call it practice. Monterey in there, that's the 3-year-old Premier Philly Sprint. Derby weekend on Oaks Day. I think it's a nice tune-up. This horse won going a mile in the Tempted Stakes. I think this is our shot for the offspring of Into Mischief for Klarovich. I think Gerrymander might be my favorite horse on the card today, even going up against an even money horse. For a second, I'm going to jostle this up, and Venti Valentine, who was good in the winter time, late fall, early part of the spring, tried the Kentucky Oaks. I'm throwing that race out. Before that was runner-up in the Gazelle. And for third, number 5, Juju's Map, won the Alcibiades. That was going 2 turns. That is the only graded stakes winner in this field. Even money comes out of an allowance race out of the Brad Cox barn. I didn't know there was enough separation from her and the rest for even money. I didn't think there was enough separation to matter. And you've told me for years how powerful the Buyer Speed Figures is. She's only like 2 points ahead of the others. So I'm like, it's 4-2-5 for me. I do think it's an intriguing race if the race doesn't go through the 5. And I don't think it does.
9th race this afternoon at Belmont, plain vanilla $25,000 claimer. They will go 9 furlongs on the turf.
Yes, 4-5-3 for me. And Mo Ready, and Uncle Mo has turned out to be a useful stallion for turf runners. And you might not have seen that coming, but Mo Ready, Mike Rapoli, Rudy Rodriguez runner, makes the 3rd start of the year. Marked improvement in the second one for a second, right next to on the starting gate. Big agenda. Rob Atras sends out this runner first off the $25,000 claim, but won at this level on April 30th, the most recent effort. And for third, American Lincoln, 4-5-3.
10th and final at Belmont, State Bred Maiden Specials going 6 on the grass.
1-3-11 to wrap it up. Queen of Lies, going to be a solid price in here for Michael Stidham. Makes the 3rd start of the year. Got beat as the favorite in a wide open 7 furlong race. For a second, number 3, Quick Nap Power. Allspringer Quinteros making the 2nd career start, getting Lasix, debuted at the Spa. And for third, Wine Goddess. 1-3-11 in the 10th and final.
Yeah, the West Point horse, quick power nap. I got to ask them, isn't that redundant? I mean, power nap's got to be quick, right?
I agree.
That's the whole point of a power
I agree.
nap. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention to Monmouth. Stay tuned.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad. Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Alongside Seth Merrow, I'm Anthony Mormino. We turn our attention to Monmouth Park, where Frank Miramati is now dug in
the booth
with Santa Anita closing. Frank Miramati brings his tack east in the opener. 12 race car this afternoon, 3-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs. Optional claimers in for 16, starter allowance.
As I was doing yesterday afternoon show, I said hopefully we'll get Frank in sometime up at Saratoga, because with the Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Monmouth, I would guarantee Frank will make a couple appearances up at Saratoga on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we'll try to get him over to sit in. But the opener at Monmouth today, I have it 1-7-5-2. I'll put Get the W on top. Comes over from Parks. Some very nice efforts. Nice win two back. Close up second last time. They were in those salty little starter allowances. I think it's going to fit nicely with this field. Commanding General is the 9-5 favorite. Have that one underneath. Coming in from Charlestown and Pimlico, a couple of wins most recently, so just in good form. I think on the numbers, though, Get the W has a little bit of an edge on that one, but Commanding General also has Paco Lopez, which is a bonus, obviously, at Monmouth. So that, and you know, a little bit of a better strategic post position. So we'll see, A, where the betting public goes, and B, how the race shapes out. But I'm going to tilt towards Get the W over Commanding General, and then Steady Till Ready in the third spot. Nice win on the move to Monmouth last time. Claimed out of that. Trainer's very good off the claim, so in good form. Moves into a new barn that does well with new horses, so logical contender as well. In the opener at Monmouth, 1-7, 5 and 2.
Second half of the early daily double, 3 rolls and up. Phillies and Bears, maiden claimers in for 10.
1, 5, 3, and 7. Nobody's Secret goes out for high percentage trainer Claudio Gonzalez. He had this one down at Gulfstream where he wasn't quite hitting at his Claudio Gonzalez numbers, but now back up in the Mid-Atlantic, you know, where his Maryland base, of course, he does very well. But he's been doing very well at Monmouth also. And so I think this horse with a little half step down the maiden claiming ladder, I think will be a nice fit in here. Only Girl does a turf to dirt move, gets some class relief, and I think those combined, there are dirt races underneath that are good enough to contend in here. But again, the turf to dirt move plus the class relief is going to make Only Girl interesting. And if the 5-1 price holds up, I think on the scenario, worth a look. And then That's All She Wrote. Speaking of high percentage guys, coming up from Florida, Gerald Bennett has been productive on the move up from Tampa this season, arriving at Monmouth. And this horse comes up from Tampa. And again, I think is a nice fit with this bunch. It's not a strong bunch. None of the horses I picked, I am leading on with much confidence, but I think these three do kind of fit nicely and maybe have a little bit of a standout on the others in here. Second at Monmouth, 1, 5, 3, and 7.
On to the third, 3 rolls it up. Claimers in for 16,000. Capital B, a mile and a 16th on the turf.
8, 5, 2, and 11. Empire's First Lady. Third start back of the season. Nice improvement. Start 1 to start 2. So primed perhaps for another move forward. Started the season in an allowance event. Last time was in one of these B condition claimers, but at a higher level, and that was a move to the turf. So seemed to appreciate the level last time, seemed to appreciate the return to the turf. And as I say, now the third start back and a little dose of class relief. Empire's First Lady likely to be a solid contender in here. Lap of Luxury in the second spot. Moved up from Tampa last time to get a nice win against B-condition claimers last time here at Monmouth, but lesser. So the top pick's moving down a little bit. This one's moving up. But I think, given what we saw last time, Lap of Luxury fits. Mystic Dreams in the third spot. Another horse that's getting a little bit of class relief that I think should be beneficial. Has raced at this level in the past down at Tampa and has raced very well at this level. So again, I think a cozy fit at the 16 claiming price should contend in the third. 8, 5, 2, and 11.
Fourth race on the card. I always think of the inner dirt track now. I'll get to that in a moment. 3 rolls and up, optionals in for 25. Non-words are 2 other than. Going a mile, 70 yards, which we don't see in New York anymore.
I have it 1, 6, 2, and 5. Famished on top. Paco Lopez on board. This runner coming over from New York, coming over from the turf in New York. But you look at the most recent dirt races, boy, they are clearly going to be good enough on the numbers. So this horse coming over, picking up Paco, getting back to the dirt. I think, again, one of those that just class-wise is going to class up nicely with this bunch. Bourbon Frontier in the second spot. Good second place finish last time in a very similar event. Why not right back to contend in that fashion again today? And then Fighting Force. Boy, this is a guy who's a high percentage trainer, but so far at the meet is not really knocking it out of the park here at Monmouth. That, given his percentages, that's got to turn around. And this horse, I think, fits very, very well. Blinkers on today, showing a first-time gelding symbol. So there's some things that say maybe this horse will get a little bit of a wake-up call and get back to numbers you see a little further down the page. So I'll look for a rebound to be a player in here. In the fourth, 1, 6, 2, and 5.
Did you see, I think they have a prep for the Alabama on opening day at the track. There's going to be a 3-year-old filly race coming out of the Wilson chute at a mile. for non-winners
I'm
of
not
a
surprised they're going to
sweepstake.
use it on day one.
But it's
Just
going to be
to
very
show it off a little
intriguing.
bit.
Very intriguing.
The first couple of weeks, it's going to be fun to see post position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People remember that in '92 when they brought those 1 mile record races back. Fifth race, 3-year-olds and up. Maiden Clambers in for 16 miles, 16th on the turf.
I have it 5, 3, 8, and 12. Analyze Your Vision goes out for Kathleen O'Connell, another high percentage trainer at the meet, another trainer coming up with some horses from Tampa. And again, the Tampa transplants have been doing okay at Monmouth. So we'll put this one on top, albeit with 29 starts and no wins. Yeah, this isn't the kind I love to lean on, but eventually they seem to find a field they can break through with. And it looks like this may be the day for Analyze Your Vision. Not with a whole lot of confidence, but does seem to perhaps have a little edge. Lagerfeld in the second spot, also Kathleen O'Connell. This one came up from Monmouth to get a start came up from Tampa to get a start at Monmouth last time. Ran an okay fourth, was behind a couple others in here, but with the experience over the track, I'm going to look at that as a little bit of a bonus. And this one, as compared to the top pick, the Barnmate, far more lately raced with only 6 starts. So, one of those that maybe if you look at the last 2 starts, the move to turf, they just kind of figured out the surface and maybe the horses figuring it out a little bit. So I'm almost looking at, only 6 starts, but with only the 2 most recent turf starts, I'm almost looking at this as even a little more lightly raced with upside. Henry III in the 3rd spot. Tried this kind of company 2 back at Gulfstream and on the synthetic. A nice closing second. Came up to Monmouth and ran, a well-beaten 7th last time. But against better. I think dropping back down to this level and bringing in a bullet workout, Henry III can be a player in here. In the 5th at Monmouth, 5, 3, 8, and 12.
On to the 6th, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and Mares, optional claimers, starter allowance. On the dirt, 1 mile 70.
2, 3, 5, and 7. Indian Bella going out for America's Pastime Racing, as they say, Friends of America's Pastime. Talking with some of them last night at the ball game as they are intimately involved with Albany Dutchmen. So always like to root for local connections. And this one, last time out, they shipped over to Parks and ran a good second. 2 back. They won a nice claimer at Belmont. You look down the last 4 races, they're alternating between wins and seconds. If you buy into that alternating thing, it's a win day, but I'm just intrigued that the horses run very well in the first 5 starts of this season. So in good form, seems to fit here. Second slot, we'll take a look at Obstinate. Also in good form, 2 starts back at Monmouth, a good second in a very similar race. Last time went over to Parks and ran okay on the return to Monmouth, where again the horse ran well in a similar race 2 back. I'm kind of looking at that as what we'll see today. And then one of those that is always a head scratcher, Annika Gold, the number 5, has been off since February with a voided claim at 25. Now comes back for 12.5. It's just you don't know what to do with these. The voided claim and the time off is not a bonus by any means, but certainly this horse on class fits. But there is the question mark that has to be answered. 6th at Monmouth, 2, 3, 5, and 7.
Well, all right, we'll take our final break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Monmouth Park.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotv.com.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Race 7 at Monmouth, 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Maiden special weights, dashing 5.5 on the turf.
6, 7, 4, and 5. Up with Prudent Song on top off a move up to Monmouth last time. That was a decent little third. I think this horse is a bona fide turf sprinter. Hasn't gotten it done yet in 6 starts, but just seems to be moving in the right direction at this point, and perhaps gets the breakthrough today. Afraid Not. Similar scenario. Last time ran a good race. Top Pick moved up to Monmouth and did it. This one did it last time at Tampa, so it's been on the sideline since mid-April. But last couple of races seem to be moving in the right direction. And then Misspelled Moon comes over from New York for Ray Handel. 40 claimers in the last couple of starts at Aqueduct and Belmont, but did show some nice speed, had some nice finishing positions. Question mark will be going against maybe a little bit saltier today, but I think probably fits. I mean, it's not that strong of a group, frankly. So in the 7th at Monmouth, 6, 7, 4, and 5.
8th race, claimers in for 78,500, racing a mile 70.
5, 1, 3, and 6. Knight of the Crown going out for Gerald Bennett and going out with a significant dose of class relief that makes you wonder. I mean, it's that kind of class relief where you're scratching your head a little bit and wondering, but comes in with a bullet work, which kind of mitigates the question marks perhaps. Skillful in the 2nd spot, hasn't been seen since early April down at Tampa, but what we've seen so far this year has been promising with 5 in the money finishes in 5 starts. Comes off the claim and drops, but has raced down at this level in the past. Molina's Dream in the 3rd spot. A couple of good tries since arriving at Monmouth. 1-2 back, was claimed out of that race. Ran 3rd last time against a little bit better. So they put a little money in the bank. Now they're dropping back down to the level of the claim. In the 8th at Monmouth, 5, 1, 3, and 6.
In the 9th race, claimers in for 30,000, a mile 16th on the turf.
1, 8, 9, and 2. St. Joe Louis on top. Chad Brown, Peter Brandt coming over to Monmouth. Well, actually, this one's working at Monmouth, but we think of them as New York-based runners. But they certainly have had some runners over here at Monmouth as well, the Chad Brown barn. This one, speaking of running away from the home base, this one has had 3 starts so far this year down at Tampa. The first couple of starts back in January and February are pretty good. The last maybe not so much, but there's enough talent here. Class relief into the claiming ranks. Chad and Peter Brandt, combination of the team. Check marks in the right columns to think this one will be a live runner today. St. Joe Louis on top. Tis a Prince, the number 8 in the 2nd spot. Seasonal debut was pretty good. Nice 2nd place finish at this level. If this horse fitness-wise benefits from that, should be right in the thick of things this afternoon. And moving out of Allowance Company into this claimer. Allowance Company more recently has some claiming races underneath, however, but Tetragrammaton in the 3rd spot. Again, class-wise, I think this horse is returning to what should be the comfort zone. The 9th, I have it 1, 8, 9, and 2.
10th race on the card, 3-year-olds and up, optional claimers, entry level allowance, racing 6.
3, 7, 8, and 6. Upwood Hero Tiger on top. A couple of close 2nd place finishes most recently. Paco Lopez on board for both of those. He's on board again today. I just think off of those last 2, this horse has a little bit of a clear edge in this field. Tenebris in the 2nd spot, lightly raced, has shown some nice talent in the first 3 starts. Moved over to Monmouth last time, got a little experience over the track. That should be beneficial. And Rookie Salsa in the 3rd spot. Claimed last time, claimed out of a nice 3rd place finish. Has some nice positional early speed, so should be in the thick of things and top of the stretch. Should be a player from there, hopefully. Has a little tendency to fade recently, but there's some nice efforts down the page that I'm hoping we maybe rebound to, and this one gets a little bit of a run in the lane. 10th at Monmouth, 3, 7, 8, and 6.
The feature today, Phillies and Mares, the Goldwood, 5.5 on the turf.
12, 2, 5, and 10. I will put number 12, Champagne Lady on top. 4, Shug. Goes out for Shug and Cortland Farm. Off a decent little season so far. 3 starts, a win, and a couple of third-place finishes. Last time ran third over Belmont in an off-the-turf or on the synthetic at Gulfstream. 2 back, a nice win. Middle of December, you go 4 starts back, a nice win on the turf at Gulfstream. All of those, I think, bode well for this afternoon. Has kind of a stalk and pounce potential style today that we'll look for. In the second spot, Honey Pants goes out for Christophe Clement off a second-place finish and a stake at Pimlico in the latest effort. And Bay Storm for Jonathan Thomas. A couple of starts so far this year, Keeneland and Churchill. A couple of nice second-place finishes. Turf sprinting to me is a specialty, and so far in the career, I think Bay Storm has proven to be proficient at turf sprinting, and I think will do so again today. The 11th, 12, 2, 5, and 10.
Finale, Maiden Clan is in for 10, racing the dirt mile.
5, 2, 3, and 1, Classy Union on top. 4, Claudio Gonzalez off a nice third over at Laurel last time, plus some class relief. Picard drops in the third start of the career. Another step, went maiden best weight to maiden claiming last time, and didn't really improve all that much, but adds another little step of class relief today. And the fact is, the first 2 starts kind of match up with this bunch. A relatively weak group, but 12th and final, 5, 2, 3, and 1.
And that wraps up the Handicappers Report, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day at the races. He stays, I go. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track.